Let's talk about the protest behaviors of the fearful avoidant. And me being a former fearful avoidant leaning anxious who is now more secure that occasionally it still comes back out and still leans a little bit anxious, I'm very familiar with these behaviors. I'm Leslie Wells, connection coach. I help individuals find deeper, better connections within their romantic relationships by looking at their attachment style and working towards secure attachment. So fearful avoidance a lot of times will use different tactics to get their needs met. So they're not really always great at direct, clear communication, which is of course the goal, and that's what healthy people do. So instead they will use protest behaviors to get their needs met. A lot of times these will be needs like just the need for connection or the desire for connection, if they feel a disconnect or a reassurance, or just feeling like they're safe within the relationship. One of the things that they will do is that they will sometimes make self-sabotaging statements. So they will say something or speak up about themselves in a negative light, when in reality, the correct way to handle that situation would be to clearly and directly just tell your partner, hey, I need some reassurance in this area right now, instead of saying something negative about yourself. They also do things like start a fight or start nitpicking, or use statements like I'm fine when clearly they're not fine. These or maybe make vague cryptic statements, and they're clearly not fine because they're walking around slamming doors, or their tone is off, or their behavior is off, and they're not speaking out directly. A lot of times they'll do this when maybe their needs are not being met, instead of coming to their partner and saying, hey, I really need you to do this for me, or show up for me in this way. Instead, they'll sort of pout, do the silent treatment, maybe make some sarcastic comments or mutter things under their breath as a way to get you to respond. A lot of times they will do these different testing behaviors. I call it moving the goalpost. So you may do something that they need, and then all of a sudden there's something new. And they're really testing you to see how well you're going to show up in the relationship, how much you really love them, how loyal you are. They may even push you away to see if you're going to come back and chase after them and pursue them, or get close only to push away. And they send a lot of mixed signals. And again, this is trying to gauge to see how invested you are in the relationship, if you're going to show up, if you really are worthy of their trust and they can really depend on you and count on you. And they're really kind of trying to see where you're at in that relationship. They may really do testing behaviors that push your boundaries and do things to see what you're going to do if they push your boundary. Are you going to get mad, or are you going to show up in a caring, loving way? And they may do things to get a reaction out of you, like try to get you upset to see if you're going to get upset, or if you're still going to stick it out and have a conversation and work through things in a way that makes them feel good. They're always sort of testing because they really want to gauge your loyalty and how trustworthy you are, and if they can count on you and really trust you. Some things that can be confusing, because they do send a lot of mixed signals, is they may give you a really hard pushback. So if you've hurt their feelings, or you've not met their need, or maybe you're not seeing them or understanding them and they really need to be seen and understood on a deep level, if there's any conflict of that and maybe they just feel like they can't do anymore, they will give a hard pushback, and they will go from trying to connect with you to just completely withdrawing, isolating, disassociating, and just really pushing back hard, which is a strong mixed signal. The other thing that they will do as far as mixed signals is they will give you a hard boundary, like, I don't want you to speak to me for the next 3 days, or I need space. But they really want you to cross the boundary. So that's not how boundaries are supposed to work, right? You're supposed to set a boundary and you're supposed to honor it. That's what healthy, secure people do. But a lot of times fearful avoidance will give a hard boundary just based on overreacting and extreme big feelings in that moment. But in reality, they want you to cross the boundary and come pull them in, and they want you to lean in and you to reconnect. So it's very, very confusing. So there's this constant push-pull that you'll see with a fearful avoidant, where they want to lean in and they want to connect, and then all of a sudden they get scared, and so they back away and push you away. Lots of mixed signals. These are very sabotaging behaviors, and they're not healthy behaviors. What we really want to see in a relationship is someone who is able to be vulnerable and directly ask for the need to connect, or reassurance, or whatever need it is that they need met. They need to be able to ask it directly and clearly, not through all of these protest behaviors where you're basically just acting out and hoping that somebody can read your mind and show up in the way that you need them to, or you're constantly testing an individual to make sure that you really can be safe within the relationship. All of the insecure attachment styles have unhealthy ways to ask for their needs and unhealthy behaviors that they engage in. So if you notice any of these behaviors, or you've got your own that you want to work on, all of my information is in the bio. I would love to dive deeper into this with you.